If you've ever wondered how the heck do you grill the perfect steak, we have the simplest method for you. It's the reverse sear, and if you're like, that actually sounds kind of difficult, trust us, we're gonna show you how to do it in this video.
And we're gonna show you how to elevate it even more by adding it to the ultimate summer flatbread with tomatoes and basil, my personal favorite.
Mine too. Don't claim it like it's your own.
I invented them. The first thing we need to do is obviously get our grill fired up. So we're using lump charcoal in this cook. And I like to cut the top of the bag off. It just makes it easier to dump when you're at the bottom of the bag. Although it still does make a little bit of some dust clouds happening.
You'll see, it's coming.
Just watch out. Get your head out of the way. Now you're gonna fill the grill up to the bottom lip there of that one piece in the very bottom, not all the way up to the top, but just beneath that lip, as you can see here. And to start the grill, we like to use lighter cubes. You'll see that we're using 2 here. You don't have to use 2, but we just like to do that because it gets it going a little bit quicker.
And we're always about the quicker that we can start grilling, the better.
The quicker we can start eating.
That's what I'm talking about.
So if you're thinking of using lighter fluid here, don't do it. Put it away. That's not for grilling. It adds off flavors to your food. Definitely want to go with a lighter cube. Now you'll notice that the bottom vent is open because we want a lot of air circulating in here when we're getting the charcoal fired up.
Now we can start configuring our grill. So we're gonna put in, if you can see that white thing there, that's called a diffuser plate.
Or a convector.
Yes. So that is actually how we are going to be doing indirect grilling. That's where you're putting your steak onto the grill grate and you don't have to worry about flare-ups. Now here's a little pro tip for you. This aluminum grill pan that is getting filled with water, it actually allows moisture to circulate around the grill, but if you want to take it to the next level, which we always do, you want to add some fresh herbs such as rosemary and fresh thyme, because those aromatic flavors and aromas, they start circulating around the grill as well, around the beef, and they add delicious flavor.
And what that convector does is just, it makes it so the heat is dispersed around. It's not gonna burn the bottom. It's a nice even heat.
It works like an oven.
Yes, exactly.
So now we're waiting for the charcoal to get fired up so we can get our grill dialed in. All vents open, bottom and top. We want to allow as much air as possible in there because we're ready to get the charcoal going. Now here comes the top sirloin cap. This is it in its full glorious form. This is known as the top sirloin cap roast, otherwise known as the picanha. But what we like to do, again, to go into that next level, which is cutting it into steaks, known as the top sirloin cap steak. It's actually quite easy to do. You might be thinking, I don't know if I want to get into carving my own steaks, but look how easy it is. You can simply see how you can locate the grain of the meat, and that's exactly, that grain is basically an arrow telling you where you're cutting. So you want to cut in line with the grain, which sounds a little bit weird because typically you want to slice against the grain, which makes for a nice tender, juicy piece of meat. But because we're cutting these into steaks, we're gonna go with the grain.
And you'll notice that there's a big cap of fat on top of there. That's gonna provide a lot of moisture, a lot of flavor while the steaks are cooking, so don't take that fat off.
Definitely not. It adds basting flavor. It basically keeps the meat juicy throughout the cook.
Yeah. Another benefit of getting the whole roast in cutting them into steaks yourself is that you are in control of how thick those steaks are. So say it's someone's birthday, you want to give them a big giant steak.
Those ones are 1-inchers, but if someone's been really good and you want to treat them really good on their birthday, go for a 2-incher.
Yeah, just adjust your cooking times accordingly, but it's nice because you can control it yourself and it's more economical that way often too.
And speaking of economical, you can see here, this is a lot of meat. That's a lot of steak there. But this entire roast only costs $27.
Get yourself a fork, and everyone owns forks, so you can't say that you don't have this gadget. Tenderize your meat even further by just piercing some holes into it.
Literally, that's all it takes. There's no expertise that you need here. Grab yourself a fork and start poking. Flip it, poke it some more, tender city.
I don't know why Maddie got this job. This is my favorite part. She got to do it.
It's also my favorite part. It's also my favorite part.
Then make sure that you liberally season your steaks. You can do salt and pepper if you want. We're more purists in that way. We like to go with just salt on its own. And what Maddie is showing here is it's easier to season from a height. So if you're seasoning up close, you're gonna end up with a pile of salt all in one area, but from a height, it evenly disperses a lot easier.
sure you flip them. You gotta season both sides here. So we're going back down again.
Again, I don't know why you're getting all the fun parts.
I
but cool.
always get the good parts.
You're the older sister, maybe that's why.
You just told people I'm the older sister.
Okay, so the grill is dialed in to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Now is when we adjust the vents to hold that temperature. So we've got our daisy wheel shut a little bit. We're gonna shut the bottom vent and just make it so we're having the grill hold at 250. You might have to open up the daisy wheel a little bit more, open up the bottom vent a little bit more, but that's up to you to fiddle with both and get yourself dialed in. See, we're having to open it back up a little bit here. We shut it a little bit too much and the temperature started to drop.
That's normal. Just keep an eye on it. Let that hang out for a little bit. Once it is stabilized at 250 for a few minutes, that's when you know you're ready to add your steaks. You want to open up the grill and then you want to start putting the steaks on. You don't need to be concerned here about how they're going onto the grill grate because this is not the time where they're going to be getting grill marks on them. Right now, this is basically acting like an oven and the meat is coming up slowly to temperature here. We're aiming for 135 degrees Fahrenheit here, which takes around 20 minutes at 250.
This is the reverse part of the reverse sear. Make sure you get rid of gloves that have touched raw meat.
Don't cross-contaminate. I caught myself.
So now we're grilling the bruschetta part of the flatbread. Got ourselves some nice ripe tomatoes. If you're not growing tomatoes in your garden, what are you doing?
Or basil. Get some herbs in your garden.
So there's a lot happening in this video. It's going by pretty quickly, but if you want more information on this cut in particular or other cuts of Canada beef, head to the Canadian Beef Information Gateway for more information.
Our recipes there, there's tons of delicious recipes at the Canadian Beef Information Gateway.
A pro tip for peeling garlic very easily, just get your knife, smash it down on top, and then the garlic will come out of the peel really easily, so you're not sitting there with a paring knife trying to peel it.
Or those gadgets, none of them work.
No, they don't. You could definitely tear your basil here, which a lot of people like to do. I prefer to give it a little bit of a chiffonade, just so it's evenly dispersed in your tomato mixture, but that's up to you.
Once we've done the bruschetta, it's time to temp our meat. So we're gonna go in there, we're gonna lift the grill lid, you're gonna look at this, and you're probably thinking, Maddie and Kikki, why does the meat look gray? And I'm not seeing any gorgeous grill marks. That is the calling card to the reverse sear. This is exactly what you want the meat to look like at this stage of cooking. It's come up to temp. We're at 135 degrees Fahrenheit here. You want to remove the meat onto a grill pan so that we can reconfigure the grill for a high heat sear. That's when it's going to start to look charred on the outside and we're going to achieve those delicious grill marks. We're going to remove the diffuser plate. We're going to remove the water with the herbs in them and the grill grate. We're gonna see how I'm using gloves here. You do not want to attempt this with low quality grill gloves because everything is super hot here. You want to put the grill grate into the grill, get the lid down and preheat again for 2 to 5 minutes to get it screaming hot.
That's where we want to open the vent and the daisy wheel all the way, get a lot of airflow in there, and you'll see right here immediately that grill starts to climb up quickly.
It's just soaring right up there.
While it's preheating, we're gonna put together our reverse marinade. And the reason why we love to reverse marinade is because unlike a traditional marinade where you're marinating raw meat in a wet marinade, when the meat is cooked afterwards, you have to throw out the rest of that marinade because raw meat has been in it.
I hate that.
So do I. In a reverse marinade, the cooked meat is going in there. It's going to act like a sponge. It's going to absorb all those flavors. And the best part is you get to use all of that marinade afterwards.
So now our grill is literally screaming hot. 700 degrees is screaming hot.
That's hot.
Okay?
That's hot.
So we're going to get the steaks again, and now we are going to place them onto the grill grate so that they can achieve that gorgeous sear, the gorgeous grill marks that look so appetizing and pleasing. And then it will continue to cook, and we're aiming for 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a perfect, juicy, pink, medium rare. So this is very important to not walk away from the grill at this time. This goes quickly. The meat is only on there for 1 minute, and because of that luscious, flavorful fat cap, the juices are starting to drip directly onto the charcoal, which is causing all these beautiful, gorgeous flames. This is nothing to panic about. You're gonna stay calm, you're gonna stay cool and collected during this stage because the meat's only going on for 1 minute. You flip it another minute and it immediately comes off, and as soon as the meat is removed from the flames go down.
Yes, and you're gonna put it right into that reverse marinade, let it hang out, and another benefit is as the meat rests, those juices are going right into the marinade as well, so you're getting like double the flavor. They're not leaking out onto a plate that you're gonna throw away later. All the flavor is staying right in there.
If that doesn't get your glands going, I don't know what does. Now it's important, the next stage of this cook, we're cooking the flatbreads, but you do not want to add them to a dirty grill grate. You want to get your grill brush, give it a little rub down, and then the flatbreads are ready to be added.
And bread cooks very quickly too. Naan in particular, very, very quickly. So just definitely do not walk away from it, especially when we're cooking at this high temperature. You have to make sure that you're standing right there. And another little tip here, use very large tongs because that will keep your hand away from the flame and make it so you're not gonna get too hot here.
I will say the aromas coming out of the grill at this time, you're not gonna wanna walk away.
No.
The smell of fresh naan being grilled, you're not going far, trust me.
Oh no. The next thing we like to do is slice a clove of garlic in half and just rub it on the hot naan.
We love our garlic.
It's like garlic,
We're like,
garlic,
add more garlic and garlic and garlic.
It surprisingly does add quite a bit of garlic flavor underneath the ricotta layer here. And you don't need to season the ricotta at all. There's tons of flavor in this recipe with the bruschetta mixture going on top and the reverse marinade. You don't want to load them up here because you want to leave a lot of room for that thinly sliced beef.
Now this is just a preference here. We like to remove the fat cap when we are slicing our meat to go on this particular recipe. However, do not throw that fat cap away. Munch on it while you're slicing the meat because it is very, very flavorful.
And thin, thin, thin here. We cannot stress that enough. Think of yourself as like a deli slicer. Just get it as thin as possible.
Look at that tenderness. And that is true. This is actually the true calling card of the reverse sear because it's that coast to coast pinkness. It's pink through and through. I have to say, well done, Maddie and Kikki.
I was telling you
Very,
to say well done to yourself.
well,
I'm also here.
Well done, both of us, but that looks incredible. It's pink, it's gorgeous. Everyone's gonna love that this summer.
Yes, and that's not, you don't get that edge to edge pinkness with a traditional sear. You have to do the reverse sear, take the extra steps involved. It's totally worth it. Top it off with a little balsamic glaze. If that's not the dish of summer, you tell me what is.
It totally is. And I feel like the reverse sear, we always convince people to do it because we always say it's the more laid back way to cook a steak.
You're really not doing much when it sounds like more complicated than it is. You're not doing much while the steaks are slowly coming up to temperature in the grill. And then you can take all the credit when they're perfectly cooked and you've done basically nothing except sear them.
It literally is. It's so true. So head to the Canadian Beef Information Gateway to get this recipe. Lots of Canadian beef inspiration. That's where we get all of our Canadian beef inspiration.
And if you make this recipe, be sure to tag us because I want to see.
Not if. Let's be real here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. You're making it this summer.
Okay, but tag us because I want to see your creation and get credit for it because don't try to take that for yourself.
You want credit for other people's future cooks?